Up until now, all of the projects I've been doing have been mainly upgrades this past winter. But there are quite a few things that I need to get done, mainly on the hull and the deck, before I launch this year, as you can see here. First things first, and that is to wash away the last couple years of dirt and dust. And I like to use dishwashing soap initially, followed by some diluted bleach. First thing is to redo the Kiwigrip, at least some of it. So I have here an area on the foredeck where I had drilled through the top skin, injected some epoxy, some slightly thickened epoxy, just to go between the wood coring and the top layer of fiberglass to address the delamination. And I've done that in other areas and that works great. So I probably won't need this entire gallon, so other than the foredeck, I have this area up here, some small areas here on the side deck and over here. Those areas were just, you could tell there's a little bit of creaking. It wasn't anything that was too terrible, but since I had my boat out of the water last year, I took care of this last summer while it was hot. It was actually quite hot, probably the hottest year on record, so at least that part worked out well. Taped off the foredeck, which does take quite a bit of time, and got that done. That came out pretty good, as well as this part. So this actually went a lot quicker. In some places I didn't even need to tape it off. And also in the cockpit, so this is the area where the pedestal was for the steering wheel, and when I pulled it out, I just filled those holes. They were a little lumpy, so I sanded them down. Same thing here. There were sheaves or pulleys that were mounted for the cable that went to the rudder quadrant. And just general cleanup like I'm doing here. Probably want to redo the removable sole, make it a little bit more textured. Today's the perfect day for this because it's probably the warmest day we've had this year, and the humidity's low, so the texture will take very well. And after applying that and letting it dry for a day, everything looks great. Looks like a new boat. So in addition to having the right temperature and humidity when applying this, I found that you need a fairly heavy coat before you try to texture it. Otherwise you really don't get the right peaks and valleys. But I like it. Moving on to the next job. And going from top to bottom, I'm planning to redo the teak rails or gunnels, as well as the grab rail with Cetol. Also that block there for the sculling oar and the rudder head. When I did this originally a few years ago, I put 3 coats on, and it's very durable, but there are some areas just from normal wear and tear that I'm going to redo, and also had some splatters from the Kiwigrip. So I did a light sanding here and there, just in a few places, and I'm going to put 1 coat of Cetol on. And after a quick coat of Cetol, all of the exterior teak has been refreshed. Looks great. Got a nice little shine back on it. Next, moving down to the top sides. So the gel coat is in relatively good shape, but I do want to give it a good polish. I do need to remove the registration numbers now that my federal documentation has been renewed. Also need to redo this part of the name. It's actually a little bit crooked, but it's also peeling because the ladder was always rubbing into it, and I do have a new one right here. So I will probably redo the boot stripe and probably the cove stripe as well. Okay, the polishing steps. So I have here a wool bonnet on the polisher, just an inexpensive Harbor Freight special. And I'm using this Meguiar's oxidation remover, which has worked for me in the past. Okay, I got the polishing done and it looks pretty good. Nice and smooth, a little glossy. I ended up just using this wax and restorer. So got the boot strap and the cove stripe taped up. Okay, got it painted around that little triangle, which is a marker for the leading edge of my rudder for the straps for the travel lift. And got that name on there. It's even this time. Both stripes are nice and crisp. The gold will probably look much better in the sun. And now the final bit will be to paint the bottom, sticking with black. I've already taped up the water line there. And I'm using this soft ablative. Looking at the compatibility, it can be applied over hard ablative, which is what this is. So only thing is areas where there is no buildup, I'll probably put a couple coats on, like a rudder and that area, as well as along the water line. I put 2 or 3 coats on there. And that is that. So nothing like a flat, low reflective bottom paint to make your boat look great out of the water. And it's been an exhausting couple of days here trying to get this done in time. But it turns out I may have actually done this in a rush for nothing. The old Land Rover that I used to have to tow my boat in the past, I sold with 285,000 miles on it. And the truck that I had arranged to pull me this year is no longer an option. So I may have rushed for nothing. But at least I got it done and it all looks great.